So for the collar, you want to have the under collar fused. I did it backwards, but you want to have the under collar fused, and then you sew the 2 layers together up the short edge and along the outer edge, which is the longest edge, and back down the short edge with 1/4 inch seam allowance, and you backstitch where you start and stop, and then you leave the neck edge open. And then once you've done that, you want to clip your corners so that you can turn them out to a nice sharp point. But before you turn it out, you want to push all of your seam allowance. So you want to kind of open the collar up like a little canoe. And you want to push all your seam allowance towards the under collar.
You said
I fused the upper collar, so I want to push it all towards the under collar. And then what I'm going to do, right? So I want to push it all towards the under collar, and then I want to go back as far as I can towards this point. I want to go back inside as far as I can, and I want to push the seam allowances apart, and like so that it's not bubbly in here, but so that this is really flat. And I want to push the seam allowance over towards the under collar. And then what I want to do is I want to edge stitch right next to the stitch that I used to put the 2 pieces together. And I want to stitch the seam allowance to the under collar. That's going to facilitate the upper collar going over and the under collar hiding underneath. So I'm going to open it up as far as I can, and then I'm going to back my foot up as far into that corner as I can. And it's a regular stitch with a tiny little back stitch. I'm trying to just flatten it out so that I don't sew any wrinkles into it, because it's, you know, backing into that weird corner. And I'm just gonna keep tension on it to hold the seam apart, and then push the seam allowance down. Hold that down so you can see. And I'm just gonna sew as far as I can into this other corner, and then I'm gonna do a back stitch. You're not gonna be able to get all the way, but I'm gonna go as far as I can, and then I'm gonna do another back stitch. And then I'm going to turn it out and press it.